So, if you guys have been joining me in my live streams for Cyberpunk 2077, you would know that Cyberpunk 2077 on console is a mess. Now, I'm playing it on my PS5, and while it's not terrible on PS5, there are some issues. The issues that I've noticed, it does it does dip in frame rates. So periodically, it dips what feels like below 30 FPS sometimes, especially in crowded areas when you have a lot of NPCs walking around, a lot of the movements for the cars and the lights going through. So you tend to see some dip in FPS there. You notice, and this is again coming from my own experience on PS5. There is crashing. Somebody in my live stream had pointed out that when they were playing the game, every hour and a half the game would crash. Well, sure enough, in my live stream, every hour and a half the game would crash. That being said, it wasn't terrible. At least it wasn't every 10, 20 minutes where it was happening, but still it's inexcusable. It should not be crashing like that, especially considering how it's a PS5 game. In contrast, Miles Morales, for example, on PS5, I had it crash once, and that was it. It was just one crash, and I played through the game twice. And out of those both times, or the both playthroughs on my PS5, I've only had one crash. I did play Miles Morales on PS4, and it crashed a couple times here and there. It had some frame rate drops, but that was a base model PS4. I was kind of expecting it to have some issues. Now, in comparison as well, people have been reporting Cyberpunk 2077 on their base model PS4s are basically unplayable. The character models look like basic polygons from PS1 era. You could just do a quick search and you'd be able to find it. The textures take a long time to load. And it's kind of expected in an open world game, and this is the problem that I have with open world games such as the caliber of a game like this. When you're talking about open world games that are very CPU intensive, and yes, open world games are more CPU intensive than linear games. Okay, linear games typically are more GPU intensive, and the reason why is because the CPU will process the assets, and then the GPU will render the assets. So what happens is when you get an open world game, if your CPU is not up to spec, and I'm not even talking about like minimum. I'm saying like it would have to be like recommended, because if you're running minimum, you can bottleneck and have these kind of issues. If you're not up to spec, at least recommended, then you're gonna experience issues like this where you're not loading textures at a fast enough rate. And that's exactly what's going on in Cyberpunk. I had this issue on my PS4 for The Witcher 3, believe it or not. Witcher 3 dropped a lot of frames for me on my PS4. Again, base model PS4. PS4 Pro didn't have that experience, or at least not to that extent. But my PS4 Pro, my base model PS4 would drop frames and load textures slowly on The Witcher 3. So I can't even imagine playing Cyberpunk on my PS4. I'm probably going to end up doing that so I can compare the two. But this is even after coming from a day one patch, a large day one patch for Cyberpunk, that we're still having these issues. It's sad. It's disappointing. This game's been in development for 6-7 years. You think they would have been able to get this sorted out, especially considering how on PC the game seems to run fairly well. Some people have reported that there are a couple issues as far as some frame rate dips here and there, especially when you turn on ray tracing. Some people have noticed that there are some texture issues, but not to the extent that the consoles have. Other weird glitches here and there, but nothing like the consoles. Another glitch that I've had on my PS5 for Cyberpunk is that when you wear clothes with V, and my character is a female, her breasts just show through the clothes. It's like, why even bother wearing clothes? So we're just doing a naked playthrough of the game because why not? It's just like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna be wearing clothes and like, her breasts are going to be hanging out of the clothes anyways, as if somebody cut circles in there. And then in comparison as well, if you have a male character, their banana hangs out. So yeah, why even bother wearing clothes in the game if your characters are just going to be hanging all out anyways? So that's what I'm doing. We're having a naked playthrough in that one. But I with that being said, I am enjoying the game. I am. I'm having a blast with it. I ended up playing the game for like, what was it, like 4.5 hours last night on live stream, and then an hour and a half before that. Just, it is a very, very enjoyable game. I have a blast playing it. It's a lot of fun, just like doing anything that you want to do in the game, and I really do. I really, really do enjoy that. But the game's a mess. The game is an absolute mess. A lot of times, if I'm playing a game and it's this messy, it would be overly distracting, and then I wouldn't be having a good time playing it, and then I wouldn't play it, and that would be it until they fix the game. I've done that with other games in the past, and this one's an exception just because I am enjoying the game, but despite of the glitches and everything that's happening. Also, a side note, I was waiting for CD Projekt Red to send me a copy of the game, and then I got a message like a couple hours before the release time. So like, or on console. So like we got the game released yesterday on the 10th. The if you played it on Steam, you could play it on the 9th. I had asked CD Projekt Red to get a copy of the game for PS4, and that I was going to play it on my PS5. And then they sent me a notice saying, hey there, this denial message is to confirm we'll be unable to fulfill your request for Cyberpunk 2077 before launch. Due to demand and limited keys, we wanted to confirm this so that you can make your own coverage decisions for your launch. So I was like, okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. My backup plan was to go and buy the game anyways. So I did that. But then I found out that they never sent keys for console versions of this game. So there was, to me, it was a little bit nefarious in a way. Like they're kind of hiding something. They didn't want people playing the console version of the game and reviewing it, and now we know why, because the console version of the game is an absolute mess. It really is. And the people who got game keys to be able to play Cyberpunk and review it all got them on PC. So that should really tell you something as far as the way that CD Projekt Red was trying to hide everything as to how the game was going to play. I don't know how they're going to fix this mess, but they need to fix it. They need to fix it now. And the thing is that people are still enjoying it regardless, right? Like on PC, they have over 3 million people who are playing this game, and that is phenomenal. I know that it's well over The Witcher. And that doesn't, that says a lot. It says a lot. But at the same time, it's hurting the console players, right? So like people who have the PS4, they can't play it on their PS4. It doesn't play well. It's you might as well be playing a PS1 game. It's really bad. And then people like me who have the PS5, there's no PS5 version of the game. The game plays like the PS4 Pro version, but just a little bit better. So because it's a PS5, it's able to render the textures, in a proper manner and give you a good or a better experience, but it's still not an optimal experience either way. Like I've had characters glitching out of their cars. I've had again the whole thing with V's outfit. It's a mess. It's a mess. And then the texture models on the characters look grainy, look staticky. It's very odd. It's very odd. They need to do an emergency patch. Fix the problems right now. Like, it's really bad. If you guys have Cyberpunk 2077, let me know your experience. I want to know what you guys are experiencing in your playthrough. Let me know down in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and stay tuned for more PS5 content. And I'll see you guys in my next live stream. See you real soon.